How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? This is Indeed Gaming here. I am, in fact, Mr. Indeed, and welcome to my channel. As usual, I'm not gonna ask anybody to like, share, subscribe, really, because I don't know. I mean, I feel like I keep planning on not making videos. I really don't plan on making video any more consistent content until Spark and Zero comes out. Pretty sure that's the only thing that I'm really interested in making content about. It's been a while since I've had a good PvP game to play, and I think that's going to be one of them. But I keep on seeing things, and I'm like, you know what? I've kind of gotten back into the swing of making videos, so I might as well. And this is something that I've seen a lot on. It's not really something that I've been paying a whole lot of attention to, if I'm being honest. But this is something I've been seeing a lot of things on, and I do have thoughts on. And I don't really feel like talking about Elden Ring anymore. Like, even though my content on it isn't, personally, I don't consider it to be that negative, but I don't really want to be a content creator that just makes negative reviews or talks negatively about video games. That's just lame. So I don't really feel like talking about Elden Ring anymore. Like, I always have more to say, but it doesn't really matter. But that's enough of rambling about stuff that doesn't matter. To the topic at hand, Assassin's Creed Shadows. I've been seeing a lot of stuff about it. A lot of people upset about it. A lot of people going overboard about it. Like, apparently now the Japanese government is like talking about the game, which I don't know why people don't think that that's stupid. Like, if I was a politician, and my job is to take care of millions of people and protect the country and a whole bunch of other stuff. If somebody started talking about a video game, I would tell them to get the fuck out, but whatever. If that's what they want to do, I guess they got time. It's fucking weird to me. That's just lame. But to the other people, like the normal people who are talking about it, I see a lot of arguments about historical accuracy when it comes to this game, and that's the thing that people keep saying that they're the most upset about, because the game is not historically accurate because Yasuke was not a samurai. Honestly, guys, I think that argument is bullshit. I don't think any of you mean it, or at least not as much as you think you do, because yes, it is unclear if Yasuke was a samurai. It is not a fact that he wasn't a samurai. It's also not a fact that he was a samurai. If we're being honest with ourselves, that's the truest thing that we can really say right now. But I don't believe that is why people are really upset. I don't think it's a historical inaccuracy. I think it's just the fact that he's black. And not to say that I think the people who are upset about that, either directly or indirectly, are racist, because some of them may be racist, but I don't think most of them are. I think that people are upset about DEI in general, and anything that has to do with it or looks like it, people are reactively combative towards. I think that's what the case is, because I don't think historical inaccuracy, I should say, is the issue. Because if it was, everybody would also have an issue with Nawe's character. Because one, ninjas with the flips and the sword on the back and cloak and dagger and all that stuff, that wasn't a real thing. That's historically inaccurate. It's not true. It never happened. That wasn't a thing. They were, I believe they called them shinobi no monos or whatever. That's how you say it. I think that's how they say it anyway. They were just spies. They would go around in normal clothes, get information, and bring it back to whoever their lord or whatever was. Some of them committed assassinations, but one, that was rare, and two, they would do it in normal clothes. They wouldn't be dressed up like a ninja sneaking in somewhere in all shadows and all that. That wasn't a thing. So that's historically inaccurate, and that's been proven to be and accepted to be historically inaccurate for years now. But no one cares about that. Also, it's historically inaccurate to say that Nawe, unlike Yasuke, can walk the streets and not really be noticed while she has a sword on her back, or a visible weapon in general, because that was not something that men could really do. Like, you had to be like a samurai or like a certain type of person or certain thing or whatever to be able to walk around with a weapon. So a female walking around the streets with a sword on her back, which is also not where she would be carrying it more than likely. It's like all historical inaccuracy. There's no way that she would be able to walk by any guards or any regular people really with a sword on her, and people would just not notice that or would ignore her, like they say that they do. So again, that's historically inaccurate. But again, I don't hear anyone talking about that. The only thing I hear people talking about is a black guy. Now, to be fair, obviously, he's a 6-foot black dude in feudal Japan. He stands out more. That's fair. Also, ninjas are cool. So if you're not talking about it because ninjas are cool and you don't care about that being historically inaccurate, I get it. Ninjas are cool. That's fair. But at the same time, this argument about historical inaccuracy being the reason that you're upset, to me anyway, just sounds like bullshit. Because the thing is that if you want to talk about historical inaccuracy, now you've opened up every single Assassin's Creed game for crazy criticism, but that's including this one. And the only historical inaccurate thing that we know about the game right now is not the black guy. It's just not. So what's the real reason? In my opinion, the real reason is that people just have a negative reaction to anything that they think or is DEI. And I would say in this case, it likely is DEI. Like, I think that there is an interesting way that they probably could have went about Yasuke by making it like when Yasuke first comes to Japan, and then you have like it gives you kind of a perspective of Japan of learning the culture, and it would be him going through and learning the culture and learning it from Naoe and learning it from Oda Nobunaga, and it could be one character that you have that knows Japan, lives Japan, is Japanese, and then another character who's kind of coming from the outside looking in and is learning the culture, and they could have used his ignorance of Japanese culture to explain Japanese culture. And I guess they could probably do that to a degree, but at this point, my understanding is Yasuke has already been in Japan for a decent amount of time. He's already been accepted by Oda Nobunaga, and I'm assuming that Oda Nobunaga either dies semi-early in this game or dies like midway through the game. So Yasuke is already, and just the way he goes around and talks to people, it seems like he's already integrated a lot into the culture of Japan. So it's like, yeah, no, they're not really going that angle. I think that's an angle that would have been interesting. It's still not an angle that I personally would have went with. Like, I think that they should have just made a Japanese male character. And the reason I say that is, one, just because, I mean, you're in Japan. Like, that's the way that I would have done it. I would have just made a male Japanese character. And also because what it looks like they've done with Yasuke's character and Naoe's character is that if you want to be an assassin, you play with Naoe. If you want to be, a samurai and just fight everybody, you're going to play with Yasuke. Now, for me personally, I was a huge fan of the old Assassin's Creed combat system, like back in Unity days. And it looks like what they did with this combat is they tried to kind of merge the old style of Assassin's Creed combat with the new style of Assassin's Creed combat. And the combat does look fun. Like, I think I'm going to enjoy it personally. But at the same time, Yasuke's character, from my understanding, doesn't really have the option to be an assassin or sneaky or any of that stuff, which I think is just like, why? Why would you do that? And I think that they went that way because obviously he's a 6-foot black dude. He's a lot bigger than everybody else there. So I get like him, flipping around and hiding in the shadows. Not really gonna make as much sense. So I get it. I just don't think it was worth it personally. Like, I understand like a lot of complaints that people will give about the old games is that the characters were the same and they weren't different enough. And then they just complained about the fact that you could choose either, which personally I've always thought that criticism was kind of dumb because, like, I know people who like only playing with male characters. I know people who only like playing with female characters. Like me personally, I really only play with male characters in video games, except for Super Smash Brothers. My favorite character is Samus. It was like, but like I know males who only play with female characters. Any game that they can make their own character, it's always a female. But I also know men who only want to play with male characters. I'm sure there's females that only like playing with female characters. So them giving people that choice in a single player game, I don't really see the issue. I don't know why people get so upset about it. It's kind of a weird thing to be upset about in my opinion, but whatever, I guess. But yeah, like that's what I think. Like for me anyway, I think the thing that's a far more glaring issue than them making Yasuke a samurai when he likely wasn't, or I guess wasn't, I don't know. Because again, like I said, it's like at the end of the day, we really just don't know. Because there's really not that much information on him. And please, people don't get in the comment section trying to act like you're a historian, because I don't believe you. Like, I'm just letting you know. Don't come in here trying to act like you're a historian, because majority of you probably aren't. And if there is historians who care about this, they're probably not going to watch my video. So just don't. But my biggest issue with the game is, and I think the thing that people should be talking about way more than the black guy, is apparently it's been found out that they used Chinese design in agriculture in feudal Japan, and they're calling it Japanese. I think that's way worse than Yasuke being made samurai. I think that's infinitely worse, honestly. Like I could care less about, even if I did care about Yasuke, which to the degree I do is very small. But even if I did care, I'm sorry, in my opinion, the Chinese agriculture and design being, what's the word? I can't think of the word, but basically being called Japanese, I think is way worse. It's a way huger issue, and I think that's the thing that people should really be upset about. And I would say, if anything, that's the thing that Ubisoft should be under the most fire for, because that's a huge fall from grace for Ubisoft. Like, I know it's a big, it's cool and everybody hates Ubisoft, blah, blah, blah. And that's this thing on the internet. But older Ubisoft games, like, for example, Unity, I believe it was, with the, that big church, the whatever of Notre Dame or whatever, that giant church, like, they did so much research to make sure that they built that church correctly. And just in general with their games, it seemed like they used to really care about making sure that they did the research. They really made, like, it was really important to them to make their physical world, like the buildings, the landscape and everything, historically accurate. Now, obviously, none of their games have actually been historically accurate. Like, that's not true. I don't know why people are acting like all their games have been historically accurate until this. Like, that's bullshit again. Like, I was watching Clownfish TV, and I like that channel. I watch their channel all the time. But like when whatever the guy's name is explaining the stuff, like the story or whatever, to his wife, like she keeps saying that, like, when, what was it, their Ubisoft's like apology that everyone's saying is not an apology. I don't really care. But when he's explaining it and reading it, she keeps saying that they're double speaking. They're talking out of both sides of their mouth. That's not actually true. They weren't talking out of both sides of their mouth. They were explaining what their games always are. Their games are based on historical characters and historical time periods, but they're not historically accurate. That's literally always been their games. So that's not something that's new. This is something that they've always done. Like, for people who are saying that this is making their game historically inaccurate, it's like, well, isn't the Assassin's Creed existing making their game historically inaccurate? Like, what are you guys talking about? Like, I think that people have gone very overboard on the smaller parts, the smaller issues of the game, and the bigger issues they just kind of ignore, like, because there's a black guy and it's DEI and we all hate DEI, blah blah blah. Like, Ubisoft used to really care about making sure that their games, at least physical world as far as Assassin's Creed, was historically accurate. That's something they seem to really care about. And for them to make such a huge mistake or oversight or just plain stupid, for them to put Chinese agriculture and design in a game in feudal Japan and think that nobody would notice is crazy. That's horrible. That's really fucking bad. That's the thing that I think is the most I think that's the most disrespectful thing about the game. I think that's far more disrespectful than Yasuke being a samurai. I think that's far more disrespectful than Nawe being able to walk around with a sword on her back like that shit's cool, or like that would ever happen in feudal Japan and she wouldn't be at least questioned harshly pretty much anytime someone's seen her. I think that's the worst thing personally. I mean, as far as the whole conversation about racism and stuff like that, like, I don't think, like I said, I don't really think most of these people are racist who are so up in arms about Yasuke. I think their focus on Yasuke is just the DEI thing. And the thing is like, I don't think that everybody who is supportive of Yasuke in this scenario, which is really not that many people, at least if the internet is to be believed, I think a lot more people don't care than you would think if you looked at this stuff. But I think for the people who are supportive of it or whatever, it's not necessarily people support DEI or whatever like that. It's just that from the outside looking in, if you're just hear about this situation, find out a little bit about it, and he's like, yeah, everybody's upset that they put a black guy in a video game. It's like, from the outside looking in, yeah, you would probably think a lot of those people are racist. It's like, but if you've been paying attention to, I don't know, like comics and other stuff for like the last like 10 or 15 years, this is something that people have been upset about for a while. Like me personally, I don't like all the race swapping that they've done with characters in comic books and Disney stuff, all that stuff. I hate that shit. Because it's like the characters are the characters. These are the people that I know them as. I don't know why I don't know why Hollywood hates ginger people. But they like changing out ginger people with light-skinned black people. It's weird. But to me, I just see a lot of I just wish people would just kind of leave shit alone. And I think that's on both sides. On the side that's pro-DEI, the side that's against DEI. And if I'm being honest, no offense to anybody, even though I'm sure some people are going to take offense, I wish white people would just leave the shit alone on both sides. Because the people that I see pushing DEI more than anything is white people. I don't know not one black person who gives a fuck about that stuff. I don't know not one I actually know one black person he just doesn't really care. He doesn't see it as a big deal. It's not something that he wants. He just doesn't even see it as a big deal. I know one black person who semi-supports DEI stuff. Semi. And even when I talk to him about it, it's more just him reacting to people being upset about something having to do with a black person. But I don't really know any black people, or even Spanish people, who give a fuck about that stuff. It's like, but I see white people pushing that shit all the time. It's like, guys, fuck off. If y'all want to make a black character, it's like, get a fucking imagination and stop changing old characters, just making them black. Like, I think a big issue that people have is just that they don't have imagination anymore. They're like, yeah, we want to make a new black character, but we don't have the imagination to do so. So let's just change this old character to a black character, or a Spanish character, or a gay character, or a trans character. It's like, that's just lame. And then all the people on the other side, again, it's just mostly white people I see that are upset about it. And no offense to you guys. I mean, like, if you're upset, you're upset. It's like, everyone can be upset. But it's just weird. I just wish you guys would leave it alone. Personally. That's just how I feel about it. Like, I don't see black people or Spanish people really talking about that stuff that much. On both sides. To me, it just seems like a lot, like, at least when I watch like videos and stuff like that, just a whole bunch of white people yelling at each other about other races. It's weird. Now, that's not to say that there's not black people who do talk about it. Or I'm sure Spanish people or Asian people, definitely Asian people now anyway. But for me anyway, for the last few years, the majority of the time that I've heard people talking about this stuff or getting upset about this stuff, It's not usually the race of the person that's, or race of the people who are being pushed into things. It's just not. I don't know what the obsession about it is. Like, my opinion is like, guys, just make cool characters. That's it. Just make cool characters. If a character is cool, it's like, I don't care what the race they are. Unless they like change the race of somebody that I know. Like, if they made Superman black, it's like, no, don't do that. No, don't fucking do that. But that's just how I feel about it. I'm trying not to ramble, and I don't want to get too much into race stuff because the channel's about gaming, and it's like, that's a whole nother discussion. It gets all political and blah blah blah, and this and that and all that shit. But that's just how I feel about it. But I said but a lot just now, but I'm not cutting it out. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like, why do you think, if you are one of the people who are focusing so much on Yasuke, why are you focusing so much on the black guy and calling it because of its historically inaccurate, but you're not upset about these other things? Because I still see, anytime I see those videos, Yasuke's face is painted all over them. It's like, but this problem goes way deeper than Yasuke, and it's way bigger than Yasuke. Yasuke is actually, to me anyway, a very small portion of it. It's like, because yeah, I would have made a Japanese character instead of a black character too. It's like, but at the same time, there's a lot bigger issues because the Chinese and Japan stuff that's crazy. Like, that's just a lack of respect. I would push the game back a whole year to fix that. A whole year I would push it. If I had to, I would push it back a whole year just to fix that one issue. Because that's crazy. But that's just me. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I don't really plan on making another video about this. We'll see if I don't make another video until Dragon Ball Z Sparking Zero comes out, because that keeps on being the plan. But I've been seeing stuff like these things are all fucking plastered over my damn recommendeds, and I really don't watch anything about Assassin's Creed Shadows, so I don't know how this stuff keeps popping up on my recommendeds, but whatever. But like I said, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next one. Indeed.